Guess who's here? THEAR is here. Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about why UFC 3 is 1000 times better than UFC 4 in every department possible. I'm going to be going deep into every aspect of UFC 3 and comparing it to UFC 4 and explaining why UFC 3 does it better than UFC 4. Now make sure you stick around to the end if you're a loyal homeboy. If you don't stick around to the end, you're simply a whore. First thing is the ground game. In UFC 3, the ground game felt complete. I really liked it personally. I know people had their complaints about it, but me personally, I really liked the ground game. I liked it so much that I used to make career modes with wrestlers and jiu-jitsu fighters repeatedly. That's all I used to do on UFC 3. I just constantly made career modes with jiu-jitsu fighters and wrestlers and try to dominate as much as possible. In UFC 4, I hate the ground game more than Eminem hates Donald Trump.
But we hate Trump!
The first horrible thing about the ground game in UFC 4 is the insane amount of cop-outs there are. And what I mean by cop-outs is the ability to get out of a tough spot with the minimal amount of effort possible. For example, in UFC 4, if you've got someone in side control, they can simply flick up on their analog stick and they can get out of that position 90% of the time because it's that fast of a transition. They can do the exact same thing in back sitting. Oh, you've worked really hard to take your opponent's back, have you? It would be such a shame if I just flick up on my analog stick and get out this totally dominant position, wouldn't it? UFC 4 is riddled with these types of cop-outs. It's sickening. I almost want to throw up every time someone does this to me in online or the computer does it when I'm playing career mode. UFC 3 has cop-outs, but not as many as UFC 4. The most common one in UFC 3 is when you hit someone in side control and then they transition. It just allows them to transition a lot quicker. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But in UFC 4, they're everywhere. You can't avoid them like mosquitoes in Africa. You just, everywhere you step, you're gonna find one, right? These transitions are pretty much impossible to deny. So you either have to have spidey senses to react to these transitions in time, or you have to be a gypsy fortune teller and be able to predict what your opponent's going to do next. They are the only two ways you're denying these transitions. UFC 3 doesn't have that many cop-outs, therefore it makes the ground game a million times better than UFC 4's. UFC 3 actually made it hard to get out of the dominant positions, especially crucifix. That's a really tough position to get out of when you're playing against the computer in UFC 3. There are so many difficult positions to get out of in UFC 3 that just aren't there in UFC 4. I don't feel like there's a solid position in UFC 4 where you could hold someone down. I just don't feel like that's available. Also, let's give some praise to UFC 3, right? One amazing thing UFC 3 did that I miss so much, I miss more than my ex. I absolutely love this feature, and it was the ability to throw elbows on the ground, right? It's a simple feature, but it was a beautiful feature. UFC 4, some reason, doesn't have this feature. There is nothing more satisfying than elbowing someone 30 times with Khabib and absolutely smashing them and cracking their bones like you're a chiropractor. That was the most satisfying thing in UFC 3. That's why I love to play as wrestlers and jiu-jitsu fighters, just so I could elbow them and then get a submission or just absolutely beat them up. In UFC 4, that's not a thing. You can't elbow in UFC 4 on the ground. Why? I don't have the answer. I wish I did, but I just don't. I just simply don't have the answer to it.
You could be sad, baby, I'm alone, yeah.
The second thing is clinch and takedowns, right? The clinch and takedown system in UFC 4 is trash, and in UFC 3 it's a lot better, right? I have no idea why EA changed the takedown input in UFC 4, but UFC 3's was much better because it didn't collide with anything, it didn't mess up anything, it didn't interrupt any other command. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to shoot a takedown on my opponent in UFC 4 and my fighters just stood there and looked more confused than a woman with no cleaning or cooking to do. And that's because the game can't register whether you want to shoot a takedown or throw a body uppercut, therefore it inputs both of them at the same time and they kind of just count cancel each other out and make your character glitch for a second and be like, yo, I have no idea what to do. So your fighter ends up either doing nothing or it'll do the wrong command. Great work here. Yeah, let's put the body uppercut and the takedown. Let's make them the same command, but the only difference is you have to hold them. Surely that will never clash. Great work. I love you here. Carry on doing this great work. The clinch system is 50 times better in UFC 3. This might be a controversial one. I don't really know how people feel about UFC 4's clinch system. I know people gave it a lot of praise because it was a lot more elusive and it felt more real or whatever they said, but I hate the clinch in UFC 4. I loved it in UFC 3. I didn't feel like it needed changing, but that's just my opinion. Because people complained that it was too stiff. The clinch was too stiff in UFC 3 and we needed something more elusive. We need more elusive movement. So in UFC 4, they added that. They added the elusive clinch system. But now the clinch system in UFC 4 is pretty much similar to how in Sleeping Dogs you can just run whilst grabbing someone's hair and just rag them about everywhere. That's the clinch system in UFC 4. I can't tell you how many times I've had vertigo from people spinning me around in the clinch like I'm a beer bottle in a game of Truth or Dare. It's ridiculous. I also hate how much the CPU initiates the clinch. If you've played career mode and you face Kamaru Usman, oh my god, it's ridiculous how much he tries to grab your hair. It's like a fetish of his. He just wants to pull your hair and then grab you into the clinch. Every single time he does it, I hate it so much. I hate how much the computer wants to clinch with you. Now, the thing is, the clinch system wouldn't be this bad if it had this one simple feature that UFC 3's clinch system had, which, right, and this was groundbreaking technology, right? If we look back, we think UFC 3 was miles ahead of its time, and that was the ability to deny the clinch. Yes, UFC 3 had the ability to deny the clinch. You held RT and you flicked it up, I believe, and that would deny your opponent's clinch attempt. This was an amazing feature. Let me explain how it worked. Hey, let me grab you in the clinch. You press RT and then flick up, obviously. No thanks, mate. I might join you later, but not for now. If you're lucky, I'll join you later, okay? Alright, mate. No problem. That's how the clinch system worked in UFC 3. In UFC 4, the clinch feels a bit rapey. Why? Because you are forced into it every single time and there's no way to say no. No means no, but in this case, you can't say no. And another thing that UFC 3's clinch system does much better than UFC 4's is the ability, right? Sorry, let me say this with a straight face. Is the ability to see what you are doing, right? It's a very basic thing. If I've got you in a clinch, I want to be able to see, how do I get double under? If I can get double under, can I get back clinch? Can I get a tie clinch? Can I go for a submission in a clinch? Show me what I can do. In UFC 3, it showed you all that. Yeah, you can go for a submission. No, you can't. You can go for a double leg here, actually. You can go for a double under here. You can go for a tie clinch. It shown you what you could and can't do, right? Could and couldn't do. In UFC 4, you can't see none of that. You can't see what transition you can and can't do. And I don't know why. So in UFC 4, you just either have to know how to do these transitions and which transitions to do, or you have to remember them, and it doesn't make sense. Why show the transitions on the ground and say, yeah, you can go into full mount, you can go to side control, you can go into north-south position, but in the clinch, nah, we're not going to show you what you can and can't do. I don't get it. Why is that a thing? Bring that back, or just bring UFC 3 back. Just update UFC 3 and we'll all be fine. That's honestly the best option. I've never thought of that, but why can't they just update UFC 3? It would literally be so much. If UFC 3 had all the fighters UFC 4 does, everyone play UFC 3. Prove me wrong. Number 3 is the career mode. UFC 3's career mode was good. I liked it. It wasn't what we promised, because in the trailer it's like, we're gonna have press conference and weigh-ins and you're gonna trash talk each other at the press conference. It's gonna be all cool. But in actuality, it was just a social media clip of two people talking to each other, but you couldn't hear anything. That's the reality we got. EA lied to us, which is a shock. But apart from that, I liked UFC 3's career mode. I really did. Especially when you compare it to UFC 4's. UFC 4 sucks. Absolutely sucks. It's the worst career mode out of every UFC game made. I'm not joking. I'm not over exaggerating. It is the worst career mode by far. It's horrible. I get nauseous thinking about it. It's awful. It's goddamn awful.
Bruh.
One thing I really liked about UFC 3's career mode is the pacing of it, right? The pacing of UFC 3's career mode is perfect. You could have a full 6 weeks training camp and you could train really hard and you could get it done in less than 10 minutes. But in UFC 4, this is completely ruined by the fact that you have to spar. You have to spar to get better. There's not, oh, here's a exercise to improve your head movement. You can just move your head like this. Or here's some pads, let's work on your jab. No, here's a little takedown defense you could do. There's none of that. You have to spar. You can't do drills. You can't do mitts. You can't do touch butt in the park. You have to spar. Every single time you have to spar. There is no other option to get better than sparring. I just can't explain. I'm genuinely getting angry thinking about it, but I can't explain how horrible UFC 4's career mode is in this video. I'm gonna have to make another video. There just simply isn't enough time in this video to explain why it's so horrible. So make sure you stick around, as I will make a follow-up video on why UFC 4's career mode is so goddamn awful. Oh my god. Ugh.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
But yeah, let me just calm down a minute. UFC 3's career mode was, the pacing of the career mode was perfect to me. It was so much better than UFC 4's, to simply put it. There's also some other things UFC 3's career mode did better, which was the ability to learn submissions, right? This was a thing that I liked in UFC 3. In UFC 4, this is taken away by the fact that if you choose a jiu-jitsu fighter, you are pretty much gifted with all the submissions possible. And anyone who does jiu-jitsu knows that the day you decide to become a jiu-jitsu fighter, you don't learn how to do a go-go platter or learn how to do a triangle choke and have it level 5. You know you have to learn each submission, right? It's just basic jiu-jitsu. But in UFC 4, you're gifted all this and you can learn about 2 submissions, I believe. If you pick like Damian Maia, for example, you're gifted all the submissions, and I think you can only literally learn 2, which is trash. So in general, the career mode, the learning system, the sparring system, and the training system is 20 billion times better in UFC 3 than it is in UFC 4. UFC 4 career mode is just throw it in the bin, set fire to it, throw it in space. I never want to see that thing ever again.
Batman, Joker just put me on acid. You wanna wait like a maverick.
Number 4 is online. I can't believe how much they ruined online in UFC 4. It's ridiculous. But UFC 3, I feel like they nailed the ranked online perfectly, right? It took 4 straight wins in a row to get a title shot, which actually felt like the right amount of time and the right amount of fights, because it felt like a challenge, right? 4 straight wins in a row and you got a title shot. It felt like you actually earned the title shot, and then winning the belt on your 5th fight, that felt actually rewarding. It felt like you've done something good. It felt like you've done something productive. This also made title defenses a lot more exciting and a lot more nervy, because you've done all this work, you've won 5 fights in a row, and now if you lose the belt, you have to do that all again. So these title defenses were a lot more nerve-wracking, and it actually felt like when you watch your favorite fighter on a pay-per-view and you get all nervous before the fight starts, that's what it felt like when you was defending your belt in UFC 3. But that's taken away in UFC 4 by the fact that you need 2 fights to get a title shot, and you only need to win 3 fights to actually win the belt. So if you lose the belt, you don't fall as far back as you would in UFC 3. I felt like 5 to win the belt was perfect. 3 is just not enough, because you can get lucky in the first fight and the second fight and then just win the 3rd fight. So I don't like it. I feel like UFC 3 did it perfectly with 5 fights to get the belt, and it just made the overall experience better. Plus, another great thing UFC 3 did, right, and this was ahead of its time as well, now we think about it, UFC 3 had the ability to oh my god, I can't even believe I'm saying this. UFC 3 allowed you to choose what division you wanted to fight in. Okay, if you're online and you say, you know what, I feel like fighting with Colby Covington today, let's deselect all the other divisions and let's just select the welterweight division. You could do that. In UFC 4 you can't. You are forced to fight in whatever division stupid EA feed you. You're just forced to fight him. Oh, we're fighting women, but I don't want to fight as women today. Well, you have to for the next 20 hours. Yeah, that's a good system. Well done. Who wrote this idea down on paper, looked at it, reread the idea and said, you know what, that's brilliant, bro. Someone did that at EA and I just want the name. I just want to talk to him. That's all. I'll put my hands behind my back. I just want to talk to him like Jorge Masvidal did with Leon Edwards. I just want to talk. Another amazing thing in UFC 3 is you could actually fight 5-round fights in ranked online if you got a title shot. You didn't have to be in a certain division like you do in UFC 4 to be able to do this. I don't get why in UFC 4 you have to be in a certain division to fight a 5-round title fight. It's so stupid. Oh my god, it's more stupid than people who have a shower, then go to the gym and then have another shower afterwards. Why don't you just go to the gym and then get a shower? You're gonna stink anyway because you're going to the gym. Why are you having a shower beforehand? And I know people who do this. That's why I'm saying it. I just don't get why I have to be in a certain division to fight 5 rounds. It's so I don't care what your reasoning is behind it. I don't care if you think, oh, the better players can go longer in fights, so we need the 4th and 5th rounds for the better players. I don't care what your reasoning is. It's unrealistic to have a 3-round title fight. It's just so unrealistic and it makes no sense. Literally makes 0 sense. I just don't get why this was added into the game. Another thing UFC 3 online did that was much better than UFC 4's was the octagon walkouts. Being able to see both fighters come out to their songs, walking out to the octagon was a great feature, and this feature was removed in UFC 4 and I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. I think it was to save time. That's the reasoning, but I don't believe that at all, because if it was to save time then he would have made career mode a lot faster, so that's not the reason, is it? And they also wouldn't add that stupid taunt system before each fight where you can point to the sky or do a little dance before the fight starts. If you wanted to make the game faster you would have cut all that stuff out, so that can't be your reasoning here, so don't give me that excuse. But yeah, UFC 3's online ranked mod was perfect. I reminisce on the good times on that, but it just felt complete. It felt like EA actually made the right decisions back then. It felt like prime EA were actually starting to get into the prime, and now it feels like EA are well past the prime. UFC 3's online ranked was perfect to me. 5 fights to get a title to win the belt. It made title defenses a lot better. Choose whatever division you wanted to fight in. You could fight 5 rounds as well. It just felt right. Number 5 is the stand-up. This is the only thing that UFC 4 is somewhat close to with UFC 3, right? Because it's pretty much a copy and paste, right? They took UFC 3's stand-up system and pasted it into UFC 4. But the only problem is it's still bad. It's still worse than UFC 3's. I can't tell you how many times I've been hit with shots that I should have never got hit with. It's ridiculous. The amount of times I've got my block up and the game just doesn't register it is stupid. The amount of times I've thrown a combo, a 3-piece combo, and UFC simply cannot process it is depressing. Jorge Masvidal would be severely disappointed in this game. UFC 3's stand-up feels more polished overall than UFC 4's. And that's crazy to say, seeing as UFC 3 came out 3 years ago and UFC 4 is the latest installment into the series, and it's not even a year old yet. It came out in 2020, and UFC 3's stand-up from 2018 is a lot more polished. And some people would give the excuse of, yeah, but they'll fix all these problems in updates and patches. The game's still early, so that'll all be fixed in no time. We shouldn't have to wait for patches and updates for this game to be somewhat playable. This is basic stuff that should have been taken care of straight away, way before the game even came out. The same people that defend EA for this are the same people who congratulated, this is real, these are real people For people, honestly, if you go to the announcement of the Venom shorts announcement on UFC 4, people congratulated, seriously, not even sarcastically, seriously congratulated EA for adding this in, for adding shorts, for adding different color shorts in. They congratulated EA for this. Why are you congratulating them for doing the very basic stuff that should have been in the game from day one? Why are you congratulating them? You don't congratulate a bee for flying. You don't congratulate the grass for being green. You don't congratulate your bed for being comfy. You don't congratulate your toilet for flushing. You expect these things to happen, right? So why are we congratulating EA for being able to change short colors? Stop it. It's childish. But yeah, I still feel like UFC 3's stand-up is the best. Would I say it's the best in the series? I don't know. Maybe, possibly. I did like UFC 2's, but yeah, UFC 3's stand-up is just overall more cleaner. It's more polished, I feel like. There's a lot less things I get caught with and I'm mad about, and a lot less ridiculous things that go on in the stand-up department, such as the AI being able to defend every single takedown possible in UFC 4, which is stupid no matter your stats. So UFC 3's, it felt balanced. Let's put it that way. UFC 3's stand-up felt balanced. UFC 4's just feels a mess. It feels clunky and it doesn't feel worth it at all. It's totally unbalanced. Honorable mention, before I end this video, I want to give an honorable mention to UFC 3's menus. UFC 3's menus were clean. They were nice looking, they were professional looking, they looked like they've actually been taken care of. They were smooth, they weren't clunky, everything felt nice, it felt clean, it felt professional, right? In UFC 4, their menus are just horrible. They're horrendous, they're slow, they're clunky, and they're a mess, like a fat goth girl, right? Especially in career mode. In career mode is the worst for this. The menu system is so clunky. The amount of times I've tried to go to Fighter Evolution and then it's just kicked me into next week or kicked me into a fight. It's so ridiculous. So in UFC 3, that's a lot better, as well as the ability to skip all the nonsense at the end of fights. You know, when it shows all your XP that you've earned and the fight replay and all that stuff, you can skip all that in UFC 3. In UFC 4, they make you watch it. Why? Because I don't know. They just make you sit through it all like it's Marvel credits or something. I don't understand why. It's not necessary. I don't care if I've got 50 XP for fighting today or 200 points for killing your dad. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. Just let me skip it. Let me have the option at least to skip it. But that's pretty much it. To conclude, UFC 3 is 20 billion times better than UFC 4 in every department. In every single department, UFC 3 is a better game than UFC 4. From the stand-up to the online, to the ground game, to the clinch, to the takedown systems, to the menus, right? To the progress bars. Everything from the design, everything about UFC 3 is so much better than UFC 4. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think? Which one's better? UFC 3, UFC 4, why? Tell me why, I'd like to know. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, tell your dad, tell your mum, tell your girlfriend, and I'm out. Goodbye.